In Yu-Gi-Oh!, zombie-type monsters love to swarm from the grave and mob your opponent down to 0 life points. But while many zombies are their own creatures, the number of zombie hordes that are bolstered by the monsters they bite in turn is pretty big. Get ready for guts and gore galore as we round down the top 10 zombie versions of other Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters. And we hope you're hungry for zombies because the number 10 zombie on this list is hungry for you. Ghoul with an Appetite is a level 4 dark zombie normal monster with 1600 attack that was never released into the TCG, but is in fact the zombie form of the fellow OCG exclusive Deeg, a level 3 dark normal beast with 700 attack and 800 defense. While this ravenous zombie beast might be unfamiliar to paper format players, those who dabbled in Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games of old might recognize the Ghoul with an Appetite as one of Bakura Ryo's strongest cards from the Eternal Duelist Soul. Of course, since non-possessed Bakura was part of the first crop of duelists immediately accessible from the start of the game, even with the Ghoul with an Appetite's help, he wasn't that hard to beat. Still, the relationship between Ghoul with an Appetite and Deeg is interesting. According to the flavor text, Deeg's belly contains a portal to the netherworld, and within the artwork, various demons can be seen crowding the fleshy lips of this monster's tummy. In contrast, the yawning stomach of Ghoul with an Appetite is empty, and the flavor text identifies his creature as having a big appetite that has never been satisfied. With Deeg, monsters pour out from its abdomen, while the dark void of the zombie Ghoul with an Appetite seeks only to devour. Aesthetically, they are both somewhat similar to another zombie, Illblood, who actually made it to the TCG, but that resemblance is likely incidental. Still, Illblood was also used by Bakura in the video game, made available to Duel Links players in July of 2017 mini-box Dawn of Destiny. Players first encountered Illblood during the Yami Bakura Roaming Duelist event that ran from April 12th to April 17th, and again from June 2nd to June 7th. This is totally distinct from the Yami Bakura Unlock event, which ran from March 28th to April 3rd, and again from June 28th to July 10th. Where he did not use Illblood. But even if they were used by virtual iterations of the same duelist, we're not talking about Illblood. The number 10 spot goes to Ghoul with an Appetite as the zombie of Deeg. They're interesting because they were too busy stumbling around to cross over into the TCG, but that's also why they land at the bottom of this list. And nosing up to number 9 is Tatsunecro, a level 3 dark zombie with 500 attack and 1700 defense. First printed as a super rare in 2018 structure deck zombie horde, Tatsunecro is the zombie of Tatsunoko, a level 3 water worm with 1700 attack and 500 defense from the 2017 Clash of Rebellion set. Both of these monsters are tuners, but the tragedy of Tatsunecro is that they're also both babies. Tatsunoko is the adolescent form of Coral Dragon, another synchro tuner, and Tatsunecro is what happens when Tatsunoko never gets to grow up. But what does happen when you normal summon Tatsunecro is you get to use one additional monster from your hand as material when you perform a synchro summon. The materials for that summon are banished instead of being sent to the grave, and Tatsunecro comes with a walking self-floodgate effect that locks into only special summoning zombies while it's on the field. Luckily, there are plenty of synced up zombie options to choose from amongst the shambling horde. It's also worth noting that this is not an activated effect, but rather something that Tatsunecro lets you do, but only if normal summoned or set, and only when synchro summoning using Tatsunecro as one of your tuners. Tatsunoko has a similar effect, allowing you to use a monster from your hand as material when you're using Tatsunoko as a tuner. Also, Tatsunoko is unaffected by other monsters' effects. It also loses that protection when zombified into Tatsunecro, but it's pretty cool that this little worm is so unexpectedly powerful. As a level 3 synchro monster, Tatsunoko isn't the easiest creature to summon, but as a level 3 synchro tuner with an effect that makes synchro summoning easier, Tatsunoko is a great option for duelists looking to go to top clear mine and perform Excel Synchro. Observant watchers / Yu-Gi-Oh! Scholars will also note that Tatsunecro and Tatsunoko have inverse stats, which is kind of fun. And while Tatsunecro hasn't seen much in terms of competitive play, Tatsunoko was consistently used in a few strategies, including Mermails, Atlantean, Yang Xing, and dedicated synchro decks and more. Tatsunoko was also one of the first worms to make an anime appearance, showing up very quickly in episode 96 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. In addition to seeing almost no competitive play, Tatsunecro has also never appeared on screen, but it's nice knowing that it at least accomplished something when it was alive. Tatsunoko probably would have scored higher on this list, but sadly Tatsunecro will have to settle for number 9. Number 8 goes to a zombie with dark powers for confusing the enemy. Among the zombie type monsters, number 8 boasts considerable force. I'm talking about the Summon Skull retrain from the 2009 set Ancient Prophecy, Archfiend Zombie Skull, of course. These two level 6 dark monsters share a stat line of 2500 attack and 1200 defense, but have different typings. The original Summon Skull from the 2002 starter deck Yugi is a fiend, and following its demise and resurrection has now become Archfiend Zombie Skull, the zombie. And while Archfiend Zombie Skull is similar to its vanilla counterpart in that it has no activated effects, it does extend a passive immunity from destruction by battle to all zombies on your field. For a strategy that loves to swarm, this is pretty useful. Though the efficacy of Archfiend Zombie Skull is slightly impeded by difficult summoning conditions. Not only does Archfiend Zombie Skull require the specific tuner Plague Spreader Zombie, but it also needs 2 additional non-tuner materials to synchro summon. These requirements are tough, and its relatively low level of 6 gives less wiggle room for setup than other 3+ material synchros like Trishula and Shooting Quasar Dragon. As of script writing, Archfiend Zombie Skull is actually the lowest level synchro monster that requires more than 2 materials. But Plague Spreader Zombie is at least a pretty user-friendly tuner, able to special summon itself from the grave at the cost of placing a card from your hand on top of your deck. In Duel Links, Archfiend Zombie Skull did see a respectable amount of competitive play in Shiranui decks, which were able to bypass its synchro requirements using the graveyard effect of Shiranui Spectral Sword. This works in the TCG too, but Shiranuis were broken in Duel Links for a long time, and Archfiend Zombie Skull was one of their techs. In the Duel Monsters anime, Summon Skull had a ton of screen time as one of Yugimoto's strongest main deck monsters. This notoriety is why Summon Skull has seen so many retrains over the years, including Skull Archfiend of Lightning, Archfiend's Manifestation, Red Eyes Archfiend of Lightning, Archfiend's Ascent, Archfiend's Call, Archfiend's Awakening, Archfiend's Advent, Toon Summon Skull, in addition to Archfiend Zombie Skull, and an upgraded form of Archfiend Commander. Sadly, Archfiend Zombie Skull wouldn't receive the same anime love, but it doesn't have nothing. In episode 70 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, a duelist called Tony Zomboni manages to summon 3 copies of Archfiend Zombie Skull against Selena, who immediately crutches them all with Lunalight Panther Dancer. Ouch. And chilling at number 7 is Sacred Spirit of the Ice Barrier. A level 4, 1600 attack, 1200 defense monster, Sacred Spirit is also the game's first water zombie, and a spirit monster to boot. Debuting as part of Terminal World 4, Sacred Spirit of the Ice Barrier released widely as part of the 2011's Hidden Arsenal 4 Trishula's Triumph. Prior of the Ice Barrier, a level 2 water aqua with 1000 attack and 400 defense would notably enter the game several months later as part of Photon Shockwave. Often when it came to cards and zombie versions, the zombies came second. We got Paladin of White Dragon before seeing its corrupted form, Paladin of the Cursed Dragon, for example. But this isn't always the case, as Sacred Spirit and Prior the Ice Barrier demonstrate. Now, let's look at what they do. Like most spirit monsters, Sacred Spirit of the Ice Barrier cannot be special summoned and returns to your hand during the end phase of the turn its normal summoner flip face up. But Sacred Spirit is special amongst the spirits. Sacred, even. If you control another Ice Barrier, Sacred Spirit doesn't bounce itself to the hand. This is in keeping in common with the theme expressed by some members of the Ice Barrier archetype, where they gain effects when in company of other Ice Barrier monsters. But Sacred Spirit's effect modification comes with another twist. If you do control another Ice Barrier monster, Sacred Spirit's end phase Spirit Bounce redirects to an opponent's monster of your choice. That's pretty cool. But what was Sacred Spirit up to when he was alive? Prior of the Ice Barrier might have low stats, but he's very important lore-wise to the dual terminal world. But before we get into that effect, while you control another Ice Barrier monster, Prior can special summon itself from the hand. This is pretty cool, because Ice Barriers love having bodies on the field, and need 3 to synchro summon Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier, but this simply doesn't apply to Prior of the Ice Barrier. Its effect would be cool if you could actually use him for any good Ice Barrier plays. On the turn you special summon Prior with its own effect, you're locked out of special summoning high-level monsters. Trishula Zero, Bryonic, Gungur, Duorlian, Lancia. Prior of the Ice Barrier is not a free material for any of these Ice Barrier synchro plays. You can't even special summon General Wayne of the Ice Barrier or Medium of the Ice Barrier. What you can do is tribute Prior to summon and revive an Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard except Prior, and that's pretty useful, but not if you special summon him from hand. But while Prior's effect is very annoying, Sacred Spirit is kind of cool, and the entity that would eventually become both cards had a big impact on the world of Dual Terminal. In the bygone past, the Ice Dragons roamed free and were a scourge upon the land until Prior the Ice Barrier was able to perform complex magics to seal all three away in the ice. In a way, Prior's self-floodgate against high levels reflects his contribution to the world's lore. But although his life would eventually end, his essence would persist, both in the propagation of the Ice Barrier tribe and very literally in sacred spirit of the Ice Barrier. Eons and eons later, the world would fall under the shadow of apocalyptic alien worms and sinister underworld demons. The modern Ice Barrier tribe would make the desperate decision to unleash their great dragons one by one, until, with the release of Trishula, the combined might of the ice dragons became more dangerous than the aliens and demons they vaporized. At this key moment, the sacred spirit of the Ice Barrier would reveal himself and seal all three dragons away using his self-sacrificing unlimited curse technique, Void Trap Hole, saving the dual terminal world for at least a couple of years before the rise of the Gishkian Evil Swarm. Our undying pick for number 6 is the level 6 Dark Zombie Synchro, Immortal Dragon. First releasing in the 2022 set Dimension Force, Immortal Dragon's 500 attack and 2400 defense is the inverse of its living counterpart, Coral Dragon. A level 6 Water Synchro Dragon from the 2016's The Dark Illusion set, Coral Dragon has 2400 attack and 500 defense. Both Coral Dragon and Immortal Dragon have the distinction of being tuner synchro monsters, which makes them great for performing XL synchros to summon difficult bosses that require synchro tuners. This is a distinction that they share with the monster discussed earlier in this list, Tatsunoko, the living form of Tatsunecro. Like Immortal and Coral, Tatsu's Necros and Noko have inverse stats as well, and this is because, just like Tatsunoko is the juvenile form of Coral Dragon, Tatsunecro is the little guy who will become Immortal Dragon. This does inadvertently make the outlook of Tatsunecro a little happier. Whether Tatsu is a little dragon forever zombified tragically early, or a deathly creature discovering its own bizarre form of progression in life, Tatsunecro is not alone because Immortal Dragon is there, either as a potential future form, or, if time has indeed frozen for Tatsunecro, company in its infinite infancy. But what do they do on the field? Immortal Dragon can dump a zombie from deck to grave, modulating its own level to the difference between the original levels of itself and the dumped card. This serves the dual purpose of making Immortal Dragon more flexible for synchro summons, while arming your field with powerful zombie graveyard effects like Plague Spreader Zombie or Necroworld Banshee. When a zombie monster is destroyed by battle while Immortal Dragon is in your grave, you can also summon Immortal Dragon as long as you're okay with banishing the next time it leaves the field. You can use both of these effects on the same turn if you want, which is nice if you happen to crash out one of your zombies during the battle phase. Coral Dragon also has a main phase ignition effect, and that sends cards to grave. At the cost of discarding one from hand, Coral Dragon can target and pop an opponent's card once per turn. While it can't bring itself back from the grave like Immortal Dragon, if your synchro summoned Coral Dragon goes from field to grave, you get to draw a card, which is nice compensation for your lost synchro monster, and even nicer when using Coral Dragon itself to perform a synchro summon. As you might expect, Coral Dragon has seen tons of play across many synchro decks, but also Immortal Dragon isn't bad. Granted, its use is limited to zombie strategies, but in zombie synchro decks, it can play a vital role. And roaring into the number 5 is a zombie classic that's the zombie of a classic monster, Red Eye's Zombie Dragon. A level 7 dark zombie with 2400 attack and 2000 defense, Red Eye's Zombie Dragon might seem like the zombie form of Joey Wheeler's famous ace, Red Eye's Black Dragon, but this isn't actually true. Red Eye's Zombie Dragon is instead the zombie form of Red Eye's Darkness Dragon, a level 9 dark dragon with the same base stats. Comparing the artworks, we can see that Red Eye's Zombie Dragon shares Red Eye's Darkness Dragon's distinct red-streaked segmented wings and spiky tail, but the ties between the two cards go even deeper. Red Eye's Darkness Dragon first released as the cover card for the January 2005 structure deck Dragon's Roar. At the time, structure decks were released in pairs. While this trend would soon break, it would apply for May of 2005 structure deck Blaze of Destruction and structure deck Fury from the Deep. And it also applied to Dragon's Roar, which co-released alongside structure deck Zombie Madness, featuring cover card Vampire Genesis. A few years later, in 2008, Red Eye's Zombie Dragon would release as the cover card for the structure deck Zombie World, where the influences of predecessor decks Dragon's Roar and Zombie Madness can be seen in the blending of their old ace monsters into the new Red Eye Zombie retrain. Although Red Eye's Zombie Dragon is level 7, it can be tribute summoned by offering just one zombie monster. The next part of its effect activates when Red Eye's Zombie Dragon destroys a zombie monster by battle. You can then special summon that monster. This might seem difficult to pull off against anyone who's not running zombies, but Structure Deck Zombie World has some tricks to help with that. But while that's not a good deal of relation between the effects of Red Eyes Zombie Dragon and Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, they can both be summoned by attributing one monster. In the case of Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, that monster has to be Red Eyes Black Dragon. And it's a special summon, which is nice because it won't use your turns normal. On the field, Red Eyes Darkness Dragon gains 300 attack for every dragon in your grave, so it'll hit the field with at least 2700 attack after you tribute. If this seems a little underwhelming for a supposedly super powerful Structure Deck cover card, well, yeah, it is. But Red Eyes Zombie Dragon, on the other hand, does have some interesting utility. Structure Deck Zombie World also introduced the field spell Zombie World, a powerful card that turns all monsters from either field and grave into zombies. Additionally, Zombie World imposes a floodgate against all tribute summons except zombies, effectively barring your opponent from many high-level cards, while creating ideal conditions to weaponize Red Eyes Zombie Dragon's effect. But although Structure Deck Zombie World would release during the Synchro era, it wouldn't actually include any Synchro monsters. 2018's new Structure Deck Zombie Horde would correct this oversight. True to its name, Zombie Horde featured not one, but two cover cards, which were Doom King Balerdroch and Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. Balerdroch was a level 8 Dark Zombie with 2800 attack and 2000 defense, and beef with Red Eyes Zombie Dragon. According to Master Guide 6 lore, Doom King Balerdroch was the entity that claimed Red Eyes Zombie Dragon's missing eye, and that eye can actually be seen at the crown of Balerdroch's staff. Effect-wise, the Doom King can special summon itself from the grave into defense position while there's a field spell face up. This doesn't have to be Zombie World, but you'll probably want it to be, and that's because of Doom King Balerdroch's other effect. When a zombie monster that's not the Doom King activates its effect, Balerdroch can respond by choosing to negate the effect or banish one card from field or grave. Notably, this effect is not once per turn like Doom King Balerdroch's Standby Revival. It's once per chain. This is a scary zombie, but Red Eyes Zombie Necro is coming for him anyway. A level 7 Dark Zombie Synchro monster with 2400 attack and 2000 defense, Necro Dragon gains 100 attack and defense for every zombie monster on field and in either grave. And when another zombie is destroyed by battle, Necro Dragon can special summon any zombie from either graveyard to your field. While this revival effect is once per turn, and Doom King Balerdroch's effect is much better, the battle between the two, depicted in the quick play spell Zombie Power Struggle, would finally resolve with 2022's Dimension Force set, which introduces Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord, a level 10 Dark Zombie Synchro with 2800 attack and 2400 defense. This card shows a Red Eyes Zombie Dragon that has absorbed the power of Zombie World's miasma and overpowered Doom King Balerdroch to reclaim its lost eye. Pieces of the vanquished King's golden armor have been amalgamated into the Zombie Dragon's plate scales, and the souls of the Netherworld flock to its dreaded wings. Red Eyes Zombie Dragon is a cool card with a cool story, even if it didn't really perform super well competitively outside of Duel Links, where it was released early enough to wield some clout for being a single tribute with 2400 attack. This list number 4 act is a level 2 Dark Zombie normal monster from classic Yu-Gi-Oh!, the surprisingly strong for its level Clown Zombie. First releasing as a common in the 2005's Tournament Pack 6, Clown Zombie would go 14 years without seeing a reprint until it finally got an encore in 2019's Speed Duel Arena of Lost Souls. But while its zombie only ever printed a few times in the TCG, the original Crass Clown was much easier to obtain. First available as part of the 2002 set Metal Raiders, Clown Zombie is a great jumping off point to discuss some common themes amongst zombie cards. For starters, its stat line. With 1350 attack and 0 defense, Clown Zombie helped establish the trend of zombie monsters having no defense points. Another early example to share this quality included Armored Zombie and Dragon Zombie, who had the same attack as their living forms, but got the Zombie 0 for defending. Although Clown Zombie printed later than both of these other cards, Dragon Zombie has haunted the TCG since 2002 starter deck Yugi, while Armored Zombie released with Crass Clown and Metal Raiders. But they all appeared in the same anime duel. When Joey Wheeler threw down with Bones in episode 17 and 18 of the Duel Monsters anime, Bones would first summon the living version of these cards, letting Joey pummel them into the graveyard. This was all part of his plan, and in a very anime move, he revives them all with Call the Haunted as defense 0 zombies. But while many zombies to come would also have 0 defense stat lines, Bones' zombies share another interesting trait. They're all 2 levels lower than their living cells. Zanki and Crawling Dragon were level 5, So Armored Zombie and Dragon Zombie are level 3. So too with Crass Clown, who was level 4, and Clown Zombie, who was level 2. While the mainstream zombie horde wouldn't pick up this quality the same way they did Zero Defense, the 2 level reduction would make a return with the card we've already talked about before, Red Eyes Zombie Dragon. Maybe Red Eyes Zombie Dragon is level 7 because Red Eyes Black Dragon is level 7, but Red Eyes Darkness Dragon was level 9. Since Red Eyes is a Joey card and Red Eyes Zombie Dragon already incorporates references to the Dragon's Roar and Zombie Madness structure decks, it's likely that its level 7 makes it a spiritual successor to the Bone Zombie 3. But the 2 levels Crass Clown dropped during its Dark Rebirth into Clown Zombie are noteworthy for another, more practical reason. For many years, Clown Zombie was the strongest level 2 on the block. It was way ahead of its time, and wouldn't get crept until 2008's Phantom Darkness set, which introduced Atlantean Pikeman, a level 2 with 1400 attack. But while this translates to roughly 3 years of dominance in the TCG, Clown Zombie took center stage for much longer than the OCG, where it released back in January of 2000. Of Bones' zombies, Clown Zombie was definitely the most fascinating while it was alive. Both Zonky and Crawling Dragon are tribute summons with relatively abysmal stats. But Crass Clown needed no tribute, boasted 1350 attack and 1400 defense, and had a cool effect. On switching from defense to attack position, Crass Clown bounced an opponent's monster back to hand. While a bit clunky on its own, Crass Clown did combine with other cards that use position changes to trigger effects like Dream Clown and Blade Rabbit. Using support like Zero Gravity and Labyrinth of Nightmare, clown control strategies kept their clowns dancing and your opponent deprived of monsters, and still see play in GOAT format. And speaking of GOAT format, are you asleep yet? If not, good luck, because this is the part of the video where we start counting sheep. Number 3 in this list goes to the level 1 Dark Zombie, Scapeghost. First releasing in the Dark Illusion set in 2016, this 0 attack, 0 defense crowd of creatures is both flip and a tuner. Both of these qualities are great for zombie decks. As this list has covered, zombies love to synchro. But what's good about Scapeghost's effect? When Scapeghost flips, you can instantly swarm your field with any number of Black Sheep tokens. Yep, just this one card is an instant zombie horde. These Black Sheep tokens have the same stats, attribute, and typing as Scapeghost, but aren't tuners. Among this list, Scapeghost is kind of bizarre. Rather than being the zombie version of another monster, it's the zombification of a spell. Scapeghost is an iconic quick play spell from way back in 2003, when it was released as a super rare and starter deck Joey. Able to summon 4 sheep tokens to your field on activation, Scapegoat was so valued for its utility that it would come to both define and name one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most popular time-gated formats, Goat. You could use these tokens to stall, tribute summon, or cheat out Thousand Eyes Restrict using the now banned spell Metamorphosis. Scapeghost didn't see the same amount of competitive relevance, but did enjoy a few odd placements, and was even useful in Duel Links where the 3 Monster Zone max prevented Scapegoat from ever releasing. But if Scapeghost isn't technically a zombie take on a monster, but rather a spell, what's it doing on this list? Short answer, because it's interesting. But if you want a more substantial answer, here it is. Scapeghost might be the zombie of a spell, but the Black Sheep tokens that Ghost summons are zombies of the Beast-type Sheep token monsters summoned by Scapegoat, making Scapeghost a double zombie all the way across the field and earning a spot all the way up at number 3. And you can't keep a good warrior down, and Warrior of Zera is back again. Both in the sense that it keeps getting new forms, and in the sense that his zombie form, Alghoul Mazera, takes the number 2 spot of this list. A level 8 Earth zombie with 2800 attack, Alghoul Mazera is stat-wise an upgrade from the level 4 Earth attribute Warrior of Zera, who only has 1600 attack and defense. Honestly, 1600 is pretty good for a low-level normal from 2004's Ancient Sanctuary set. And although Alghoul wouldn't release until 18 years later in the 2022 set Dimension Force, it's pretty good too. The original Warrior of Zera might have no effect, but Alghoul Mazera definitely has one. If a zombie monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, Alghoul Mazera can banish itself from hand or grave to prevent the destruction. While this isn't bad on its own, using this protection ability leads into Alghoul Mazera's next effect. When it is banished from hand or graveyard, Alghoul Mazera special summons itself in defense position with its level reduced by 1 if you choose. Competitively, you won't get much traction using Alghoul outside of zombie decks, but this is a zombie list, and Mazera's protection and free summon dual purpose serves the deck very well. You can even use Alghoul Mazera as your discard to summon out the level 7 zombie Jack-o'-bolan, and then use Alghoul's revival and level drop to Xyz into a rank 7. Warrior of Zera, on the other hand, offers much less utility, making this a true zombie glow-up. But Alghoul Mazera is only one potential path for the errant mortal Zera. Tempted by the power of evil fiends, he ventures forth to find the sanctuary in the sky, and the shelter of the noble Archlords. In one potential timeline, he is successful, ascending to become Zeratus, Herald of Heaven, and the Angel of Zera, and Archlord Zerato, before eventually succumbing to his own ambition, falling after Dark Lord Morningstar to become Dark Lord Zerato. But things can go differently. If he immediately gives into his inner demons, he undergoes the Zera ritual, transforming into Zera the Mant. If he fails in his quest to locate the sanctuary in the sky and instead arrives at Pandemonium, demonic influence corrupts him into the fiend-type Mazera Devile. But even devils can die, and once dead can be reanimated as a malevolent zombie. This is what happens to Mazera Devile, and how we arrived at Alghoul Mazera. There is no Zera timeline that doesn't eventually end in tragedy, but for being both a really impactful zombie hand trap and tech, and for being the, as yet, final destination of a major Zera lore arc, Alghoul Mazera deserves recognition and the number 2 spot. And at number 1, we've got a real treat. Really, it's Live Twin Lil-la Treat, the level 2 dark zombie of Live Twin Lil-la. When she's not celebrating Halloween, Lil-la is a level 2 dark cyberse with 500 attack and 0 defense, a stat line that Lil-la Treat shares. The original Lil-la debuted alongside fellow Live Twin Kill in the late 2020 set Genesis Impact, with a Halloween-themed treat arriving a few months later in early 2021's Blazing Vortex. Lil-la's VTubing partner Kill would also get a festive retrain for the winter holidays. Live Twin Kill Frost released in the 2021 set Lightning Overdrive and plays a similar role as Live Twin Lil-la Treat, just like the Live Twin Kill plays a similar role with Live Twin Lil-la. The Cyberse Lil-la and Kill have complementary starter effects, where if they are normal or special summoned while you control no other monsters, you can summon the opposite twin from your deck, including their holiday counterparts. Treat and Frost are complementary extenders, able to special summon themselves from hand while you control the opposite twin. This is useful in situations where your starter twin is negated, and a Treat or Frost in hand can ensure you get 2 bodies aboard so you can start summoning infinite Sapphic VTuber links. Secret Password and Live Twin Sunny Stitch provide extra search, making these twins extremely reliable. Moreover, the prevalence of level and link 2s in the deck have strong synergies with sprites, giving Live Twin players plenty of lines to build boards and push their interruption. Less immediately notable are the other effects of Live Twins Lil-la and Lil-la Treat. While Cyberse Lil-la is on the field, your opponent must pay 500 life points to declare an attack. Meanwhile, Lil-la Treat can banish herself from grave after an evil twin deals battle damage to target an opponent's monster and minus its attack by an amount equal to the battle damage. While not totally inconsequential, these effects are not the reason duelists choose to play either card. And choose to play Lil-la and Kill many duelists did and do, both in the TCG and in Duel Links, where the twins are just as good. Amid so many cards where I say, but in Duel Links, to talk about how against odds they saw play, Lil-la is a special and in Duel Links that excels in both formats. For her competitive utility and holiday spirit, the number 1 spot in this list of zombies of existing cards goes to Live Twin Lil-la Treat. Alright, and that's the list. But if zombies are known for one thing, it's gathering into hordes, and there are many more zombies out there. So if I forgot your favorite, or if you have ideas for future videos just like this one, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments.